It's incredibly difficult to stand out as an indie game in 2024 because there are so many fantastic experiences out there slipping through everyone's fingers every day. So if you don't have massive new mechanics to shout about, which Go Go Jump certainly doesn't, you have to focus in on the personality and bring something extra to the table elsewhere in order to stand out from the crowd. Go Go Jump focuses in on personality and charm, specifically breaking the fourth wall and acknowledging the fact that this is a cheap budget game that doesn't have all of the bells and whistles that a big budget game would necessarily have. One character comments that they can't move around the screen because they don't have a walking animation, for example. That same character actually has a hidden bonus thing that's tied to trophies and achievements, you'll have to listen to it anyway, where they're just having a 5-minute rant whilst being recorded, that they're redoing the vocals for the console version of the game, but they can't remember what they've spoken about and then they get all confused and upset. Each of the characters are weird and wacky, the environments that you go into are weird and wacky, and it's all to cover up the fact that fundamentally this is a move left and right and jump over various obstacles and attacks to dodge and survive the various levels in the game. There are 9 jump masters that you need to battle off against, and each of those levels are 3 stages. It's a one-hit die, but you respawn at the beginning of stage 1, 2 or 3 depending on how far you've progressed in the level. And what's really clever about this game is that it really visually choreographs what attack is going to happen next. So you can certainly memorise the patterns of attack as you go through the game because it is the same each time that you play, but if you watch all of the different characters, some of them will do a little spin or they'll nod that they're going to move upwards and jump upwards and shoot you, for example. The emo dolphin kind of telegraphs which floaty, because you're battling in her mansion pool. She'll telegraph which floaty she's going to flip up and knock you off of very clearly. So if you pay attention, the game becomes infinitely easier to understand what's going to happen next, because it feels somewhat like a rhythm game but without any musical track going on. You're just visually watching the cues and then knowing what to react to next. That said, moving left and right and trying to jump over various different attacks can be very, very helpful because it buys you some level of reacting at the last second of the different triggers if you didn't spot it visually what was going on, but largely your survival here will be learning the patterns, understanding what visual cue triggers what attack, and then knowing what to do about it throughout these stages. Once you complete those stages, you unlock boss mode, which allows you to then... boss rush mode, that allows you to move through the different stages back to back with 9 HP trying to get through those 9 bosses. And then you'll also unlock challenge mode, and this brings you about 90 other challenges where it's about trying to survive X amount of moves without getting hit, with various different patterns or makes-ups of patterns that you've already experienced before, trying different things. I fundamentally quite enjoyed my time with Go Go Jump. It focuses in on one very specific game mechanic, does it fairly well, but is quite simplistic in the way how nothing really particularly evolves over the course of the 9 jump masters that you battle and the 90 stages that you try to tackle. It is just visually watching what's going on, reacting to it and making sure that you're vaguely in rhythm with how the attacks fly across the screen. That said, there's a lot of love around the edges of everything. The fully voice acted cast I think is great. The 3D cel shaded environments look good and remind me a little bit of how Parappa the Rapper has a lot more going on, but you're fundamentally just pressing a few buttons through 6 stages of music, and that's become a cult classic. This would have stood out really well in like the late 90s, and I think now it's probably a victim of its own release date and time, because actually fourth wall breaking games that focus on playful, self-referential humour, we've kind of seen a lot of this now, and so it's less impactful and unique. However, you can clearly see that there's a lot of love involved in this game, and so for that, it gets a thumbs up from me. If you're interested in a really simple and easy platinum that doesn't hold your hand along the way, but certainly gives you some stupid humour along the way, Go Go Jump is well worth your time.
I mean, why is this character everywhere? Why is he rancing? Why is he in the background doing all this stuff? He's got more dialogue, I think, in the cutscene than Annie does. What am I doing? Why'd I write it that way? It's funny as well because that was the first one I wrote. That's why I think tonally it's so different and weird compared to the other cutscenes. Listen, I'm going on a rant right now. This is about me